This is actually the fourth time where I've tried to shoot this video. I never knew how awkward it would be, so I'm just gonna do it. Soul and Grace, I hope I make you proud. I'm not gonna give you much of an introduction because I talk a lot about myself. So I never thought about myself as a global citizen until I started to write this actually. And after writing this, I realized my life and where I am today is a culmination of everything that has cultivated my mind. What do you know? So today, I'm going to talk to you about how cultivating my mind enabled me to become a global citizen. And now that I do consider myself one, why I want to and how I continue to enrich my world. I moved to the States and had 3 kids. Me being the third. I'm Indian, but I was born an American. When I was younger, I didn't want to be Indian. I actually wanted to be Jewish, like the rest of my school, which was right outside New York City in North Jersey. Middle school and high school were actually really tough for me. I never really found my place and I never knew who I was. I remember a few times in high school, I'd enter my friends' cars and they'd be like, "Ew, you smell of food." And I honestly had no clue what they were talking about because my house was very normal to me. And if anything, it had a scent of incense in the air. I don't know if they thought incense was food, but whatever. My friends also never understood why I spent so much time with my family. I was lucky enough to spend parts of summers abroad between London, Singapore, and India, which is where I found myself actually connecting to more people. Connections came easier for me when I was outside of the States. I was not only connecting with people based on common interests, but also values. People who I met seemed to have more of an understanding of me than I did about myself. So after summers were over, I would go back home and I'd feel lost again. I'd go back to school, this was still in high school, and I just knew something wasn't right. I mean, I couldn't have been that much of a weirdo where I wasn't fitting in. I eventually graduated high school and ended up going to the University of Delaware, which wasn't better. People had no idea where India was on a map. They even asked me if there were vacuum cleaners there, if they had electricity there, and if people ride around on camels. I thought to myself, am I going back in time? Where in the world am I? The more time I spent in Delaware, I wasn't actually growing into who I was, which is what college was for, but I was actually getting more trapped and more lost. I knew I needed to leave. I was moving further and further away from who I knew I was and could become, and my world and my mind were only getting smaller. And I remember feeling so confused because there was always that sense of self and that side of me that I would meet every time that I traveled. And there was a huge part of me that was missing, and it was a part of me that would always get somehow left back on the plane. After 2 years in Delaware, I made the move to Boston, which was life-changing. Boston, as a student city, is a melting pot of culture. I was meeting people from all across the world, learning about new countries, meeting people whose worlds were way bigger than mine. But not only that, I was finally making connections with people whose values were similar to mine, and I was addicted to this because this never happened to me before in my daily life. I was finding myself, and along the way, I was finally making true connections and true friends, who I am still friends with today. I was meeting people from Turkey, Lebanon, Albania, Morocco, Saudi Arabia, Panama, Guatemala, Brazil, everywhere. I was feeling the sense of excitement in life, and that there was this world and I was a part of it. During my last semester of college, I actually chose to live in Barcelona for a study abroad. The interesting part here was that I was in a completely new country, and the people in my program were just people I couldn't connect with either. So as a result, I spent a lot of time on my own there, which was hard at first, but I got used to it. I was in a new country where I really knew no one, and the only thing I had to do while I was there was pass, speak Spanish, and explore. So this was a challenge, but it opened my world and my mind even more, and that experience is something I would never take back. I was traveling to countries I never thought I would ever go to, and exploring and experiencing these cultures, doing things I would never even have thought of doing when I graduated school in New Jersey at 17. When that experience was over, I moved back to Jersey because I was done with college. And that was, again, like back in time, going back in time. So I was living in Jersey, doing all these random internships in New York, and I was lost again. I was lacking the inspirations and the connections which were helping me move along my path on a day-to-day level. And at home, I'd also lost friends and connections because I just realized over time that there was no connection between us, sadly. So I finally made the move to Singapore after I was home for about a year and a half. And I've been here now for 6.5 years. And I can say it's probably been the best decision I've ever made. And this is where I can say that I developed into having the mindset of a global citizen. So when I moved here, I threw myself into a completely unknown life. But the experience I had previously and throughout my life set me up for the foundation to keep building and growing my world. I realized that the journey I had in discovering myself helped me with the move here because I saw how exciting the world could be when you don't confront it with fear. I saw how exciting the world could be when you just talk to people, meet people from everywhere, and hear their stories. Singapore, interestingly enough, has opened my world in many more ways. Through the people I've met, again from all parts of the world, through the work I'm doing. And it's here where I finally did discover who I was. But I wouldn't have done so if it wasn't for this journey that I've gone through. Basically, what I've learned is the more we discover, the more and more we can connect with people, with ideas, and the more and more does that change our world on a personal level and a professional level. I don't want to stop learning and I don't want to stop growing. And these are things that I just do in my life to keep it exciting, keep my mind going. Here are some, tips that you can also involve in your day-to-day life. 1, be open-minded. 2, always accept a challenge. 3, don't have fear of the unknown because it's the unknown which really makes you grow. 4, try and go for coffee with one new person a month and just ask questions. Ask them about the world, ask them about their life. People love to talk about themselves, but it's a great way to learn. Travel. See other places and learn new cultures. Set time to read the news about 15 minutes a day. Just keep up to date with everything that's happening. 7, if you're curious about something, Google it. 8, if you don't know something, ask someone. 9, speak to strangers. 10, surround yourself with people that inspire you. I think that's a very important thing to do. 11, be kind and compassionate to everyone that you meet. So those are my tips and what I do to keep cultivating my mind. 2 years ago, actually, I went back for my high school reunion, my 10-year high school reunion. And I went back as this completely changed person, and I was so excited to meet everyone there. And, I thought everybody would be talking, and, we'd be like connecting after all these years. And it was crazy because when I went back into the bar where we all were, it was like we were sitting in the high school cafeteria because everyone was sitting in their cliques. No one was speaking to anybody else. And it was just kind of crazy to me because I thought we'd be going back there, networking, talking about life and all the crazy things we've done. But I realized that I'd come such a long way from high school. And, it's just been such an incredible journey that I've actually been on in my life, and just hope I continue to grow. And I definitely know I will continue to grow. I really appreciate the fact that I am here in Singapore, doing what I'm doing, meeting such amazing and incredible people. Things you can do, as I mentioned before, in your daily life, which can help you really cultivate your mind, help you grow professionally, and help you grow in general on a personal level. That was that. I hope it wasn't too awkward. I don't really know what I said, but anyway, I'm just going to end this talk. So, peace.